So I just want to share a couple of quick thoughts, some images for Christmas, and I want to share some of the stranger images for Christmas. Christmas is a mixed time for so many of us. The talk of joy is such a challenging thing, as Sharm was sharing in that wonderful reading. It's such a mixed thing that we have, because there's loss, and some of us are single or alone at Christmas time. Our families might be scattered. It's a mixed time, really, and there's so much sort of pressure for Christmas to be perfect, right? To just be that wonderful thing. Maybe it was when we were kids, or maybe it was the way we see it on the Hallmark Channel. There's just this glitz, and it's Christmas. So I kind of wanted to capture some of the more folkloric sort of presence of Christmas. And by that, what I mean is the presence of active folk art in our community. Now, you don't think of it that way. Some of you think of it as kitsch and uncouth. But every year at Christmas time, our family tries to go around and at least take an evening where we drive around to see the lights, right? But not just any lights. You can go to certain places. You can go to Interlochen. You can go to certain places. For years, we went to the place that did the Peanuts Christmas, right? I don't know if any of you ever saw that one. But they're all themed. There's a Star Wars Christmas out there. There's all sorts of different themes of Christmas. What I'm looking for is that testament that folk art, independent sort of creativity is still alive. And where you find that is where you see people sort of doing the Christmas matchup, sort of like Sesame Street, where you could kind of look at the scene and go, one of these things is not like the other, It doesn't belong, but it's that true syncretism of the Christmas spirit. So you drive around and you'll see the one scene where there's the family that did the Dia de los Muertos display during the All Saints, the night before All Saints, but they just kept it up, and then they went and put Christmas clothing on them, And then you look over, and there's the nativity with the little skeleton baby Jesus, and Santa looks really thin for this time of year, So you see that, and you're thinking, like, how wrong is that? But I'm sitting there thinking, how amazing is that? It's so wonderful. And then you go to the other place. There's another place here in town where the wall around the place has been built with stucco and cement and glass bottles, and bottles are everywhere of every sort and color. And then during the normal time of the year, it sort of just looks like that's where they put their leftover bottles. They just stuck them in the cement and plastered them down. During the Christmas season, they string lights. And it just illuminates that little part of the block with these beautiful rainbow of colors. Or you can go down and you can find the place where you can go to those neighborhoods where the houses are just perfectly lit up. They're just glistening aglow with brilliant lights, and that the air traffic controllers are having to skirt traffic past these because the houses they're like Griswold competitions, right? They're so brilliantly lit up. But in our own neighborhood, we have the 20-foot Santa that stands. He's the inflator. He looks like the auto dealership, right? And he inflates 20 feet, and he's brilliantly illuminated. And that's all that's there. It's just the Santa. We're just going to put our blow-up Santa out in the front lawn and rise him up 20 feet. And it was like one day you're there, you look at there, and then the next morning you wake up and, oh my God, there's a 20-foot Santa right across the street. But the problem is that sometimes he's up and sometimes he's down, and it's never consistent, right? So sometimes at night he's illuminated, but he looks like a blob with just a little bit of his head sticking up. And then other times he's fully illuminated during the day, which seems really strange. But you go down the street, and then you have the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil snowmen that are all illuminated, and they're out just in the front lawn just by themselves. And one of my favorite in the neighborhood is a new one, which has the beautiful nativity and wonderful Christmas lights, and then right next to the nativity is Santa in a hot tub with his reindeer. I mean, we could look at it all night long. It's right there. And sure, we're traveling around going like, that's so uncouth. That just is so kitschy and unsophisticated. But I think the newest one that I saw last week was there's a house. Well, I probably shouldn't. I never know if some of these are your houses, to be honest with you. I love them all, okay? So I'm not poking fun at anybody. I'm having fun because it's amazing. But there is one I don't understand where there's like 7 female mannequins dressed in brightly colored dropped shoulder dresses, like gowns, and they're just standing illuminated in the yard. I haven't figured that one out yet. They weren't there, now they're there. But you know what I think about all of this stuff? Because we did the same in our house. I mean, you may have that sort of Christmas tradition where everything has to be in its place. And my mother was certainly that way growing up. She had to be part of the social set and society in the community. When she was entertaining, everything had to be perfect, like a Hallmark or a Martha Stewart kind of Christmas. And all the ornaments matched, and the tree was perfect, and all the decorations. And the reality is that life just doesn't go that way, right? Life's going to throw a curve at you. Some of them are steep, and some of them are sharp, and some of them are gentle, but they generally remind you that you just can't make it perfect. If you can, lucky you, and we're all glad, but in the reality, life's just not going to hold to that level of perfection. And it did not for my mother, of course. And what she did was she finally decided that what was more important were historical things, so she loved antiques. But she also loved the ornaments that represented the moments. So even to this day, our tree is the most mixed up, cluttered-looking tree with all sorts of objects that if you just looked at them, you'd think, did you go to a junkyard? Did you go to a resale shop and just pick up stuff? But every one of them has a story. Maybe that's true for you. Maybe you do that as well, where you can walk around and remember who you are or remember what you celebrate. But here's the thing I want to leave with you about all of this, because I do hope you'll go out and you'll look for the mannequin yard and you'll look for the house that has the bottles in the wall, and that you just come to my house and you'll see the Santa, and you'll see the Santa with the bathtub and the reindeer. You can see that at my house too. But what I hope you'll do is you'll go out, because what I think it represents, in spite of the fact that yes, people risk their lives getting up on the ladder to do this kind of stuff. Yes, it looks like they have absolutely no taste whatsoever. Yes, they're wasting tons of fossil fuel when we do this kind of thing. But at the same time, it represents something deep within all of us. Nights get long. It's dark out there. It's cold sometimes. It can feel really alone. So we turn on some lights. We light up life around us. And what's really fun to think about that we don't acknowledge is that we do that for one another.